So we talked about off air a little bit the advent of red dirt music, and so when you started, we're talking 34 years ago. Let's say 1990, right, somewhere in there. That's really the format had to have been like 90s country, right? Like the Clint Black and the Garth Brooks and all of that stuff from that era, right?
Yeah, that was it was really, I mean, I was having fun with the 90s country, man, because it was good. And I loved it until they started pulling in that bro country crap, man. And that's when I really started digging and going, man, there's got to be some other kind of country music out there. And then so I decided that I was at KLUR in Wichita Falls, and I came up with an idea because I had a database. JB Cloud was going to start doing a show out in Abilene. And so he shared his database with me. We worked in the same company. So he shared his database with me. And I started going through there, and I hadn't heard most of these names. There's a lot of those names in there I had never heard before. But I started listening to music, and I'm like, man, I dig this. There's a market for this. So I came up with the idea to have a show called Honky Tonk Friday Nights on Friday night I wanted to do it 7 to midnight, but they wouldn't let me do it at first. So I had to beg the Dickey boys from Cumulus, man. Literally, they came to town, and I begged them. I said, let me try this. And they said, it'll never work. It'll never work. I said, I tell you what, let me program this show. Give me 2 hours. Give me 7 to 9 on Friday night. Because all the other radio stations had their own programming and stuff. And they said, okay, we'll let you do that. I'm like, all right, well, good. So you can do 7 to 9. I said, all right, cool. So they said, you start on this date. That date just happened to be the very first day of high school football in
Of
Texas.
course, absolutely. Why not?
And every radio station in Wichita Falls had football on except our station. We were the only station that didn't. So I was terrified. Like, man, this is not good. This is gonna crater, man. This will never work. So I rocked along there through the whole fall book. And when the ratings came out, it came out and said I had a 25 share from 7 to 9. And I was blown away. I'm like, man, that means 25% of the market in Wichita Falls in the vicinity area was listening to me on Friday night.
And you're playing
So,
Texas and Oklahoma music, right?
yeah, playing Texas Red Dirt music, man. And so after that book came out, then the Dickey guys came to town and they were like, this is unbelievable. There's got to be some kind of glitch or something wrong with the book or something like that. I said, I thought the same thing, but I'm going to take it for what they say. So they said, well, we are too. So you can go ahead and you can do 7 to midnight then. I'm like, right on. I was doing afternoon drive anyways. I was number one in the market in Wichita Falls in afternoon drive. So then they said, well, what you can do is you can voice track your last 2 hours and then or from 5:30 on, and then go get you something to eat and then come back to 7 to midnight. I go, okay, cool. So I did that. No boost in salary or nothing like that. I just did it because I wanted to do it. So that's kind of how I got it started. And it
So
just started making fun.
prior to that, how often was this style of music being played on air? Do you think around Texas and Oklahoma?
Not much. No, I mean, we had at KLUR, we had a music library of records that dated back to the 40s, man. I mean, this guy had the records in that radio station insured for like $7 million or something like that. I mean, a lot of music. So but we played some Jerry Jeff Walker every now and then, and we played some of that older stuff, and it was cool. Guy Clark and cats like that, Rusty Weir and stuff like that had been out for a while. We did play some of that, but as far as being on a regular basis, there was nobody in Texas doing that. Like I said, JB Cloud was about to start his Honky Tonk Saturday Night show up there, or West Texas Saturday Night, I guess. So yeah, it's basically us.
And so once you started doing that honky tonk Friday night thing, do you see kind of a snowball effect now with other stations, you know, doing the same thing, trying to get their piece of that 25 share in their local demographics?
Oh yeah, it's gotten to the point now to where there's more. There's almost just as many Texas Red Dirt stations as there are mainstream stations these days. And you know what really called me to the end in Wichita Falls was when Pat Green had went to Nashville and he had some national releases. Jack Ingram had some national releases, and Charlie Robinson did too.
Daryl
And
Dodd
I
as
was
well.
wanting, huh?
Daryl Dodd as well, and
Daryl Dodd. Oh yeah, he had a couple there, but my main thing is I wanted to those ones that were being pushed nationally. I wanted to get those into the regular rotation of the radio station.
right, right.
And they were like, well, no, that's Texas music. That's what you play on Friday night. I said, yeah, but these are being pushed nationally by national reps. I mean, we should play that. It'll give it more exposure. No, they didn't want to do that. And man, I banged my head against the wall for 6 or 8 months with those guys about that, man. And finally, I just broke and I said, all right, I'm out of here.
So they were essentially treating it like a gimmick, and you're treating it more like this should be more of a mainstay kind of thing. And they were just wanting to keep the gimmick kind of closed off from the rest of it, right?
Yeah, and the thing is like, okay, you can look back over the history of country music, and I have. It goes in about a 7-year cycle. It'll go traditional country for about 7 years. It'll go pop country for about 7 years. And it'll go like some kind of other kind of country for a while, and then it'll kind of turn into the outlaw thing. It'll be pretty good for a while, and then it goes back to traditional country, and that it is done that traditionally for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see when they started out with this bro country stuff, man, and it was like the Rascal Flats and cats like that. I was going, that ain't country, man. That just ain't country. And in fact, I had the guys from Rascal Flats on stage one night. I was about to intro them, and we were standing in the little green room, and the guys were like, "Hey, man, what's hot in Texas right now?" And I was like, "Well, you need to tell you what's hot in Texas?" They said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, let's see. Pat Green, Corey Morrow, Roger Crager, Jason Bowling and the Stragglers, Cross Canadian Ragweed." And they were like, "Never heard of them." I'm like, "You guys need to get on the train, man, because this train's leaving the station right now."
Mm-hmm. And that's that's why I'm excited to have you on, because like literally that station had nobody at it until Jim Nash showed up at that station, and I love that. And
here, man.
I mean, it's true though. I mean, you're the precursor to this. Like you're the one that kind of stuck your neck out for this style of music, and I mean, you can literally date this back, and you can see you're starting this gimmick. I put that in air quotes. And then after that starts, you can see all of these other stations across the state picking up the gimmick, so to speak, and start playing Oklahoma and Texas Red Dirt music. The beginning, right. the genesis to that was your Honky Tonk Friday Night. So, like, you need to take credit for that, man. You were a big part of this.
Well, one of these days when they write the history book, that would be nice, And I see what you're saying, but yeah, that's true. I mean, there was nobody else playing this stuff and really being the flag bearer for it, on radio.
Yeah.
I could see these shows, especially around the colleges, where Pat Green and Corey Morrow and all those guys like that and Krager, they were all big around the colleges, man. I could see in these college towns, I'm thinking, man, they need a Texas Red Dirt, a solid station that plays that stuff. But back then, you got to think, we didn't have the catalog of music that we have now.
Right.
Without it being redundant and having, repeating the same artist every couple of hours or so,
And I want people to know out there, I'm not saying that these artists didn't exist, that there wasn't a music scene here, because it was here. It just wasn't bleeding into radio.
Right.
At all. And it was like, this even predates my time in Texas. I've been here since 2001. So I've always been privy to the way Texas music is. Now, obviously, it's evolved over the last 23 years since I've been here, and it's more now. Like, there's more award shows and more internet stations, and the saturation has definitely reached a pinnacle that didn't exist, 20 years ago. But that all exists partly because of Jim Nash. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it's really neat to be driving down the road, with your radio on, and I don't even have a subscription to satellite radio, which is out there, but I just don't, because I'm a terrestrial radio guy. But it's nice when you're driving somewhere and you run out of range of a radio station and you go searching for something. And you're like, oh shit, there's Pat Green, man, right on. So you listen to that station until it's out of. It's nice, to now be able to do that instead of always having to play something off my phone or something like that. Which Lord knows that's the direction we're headed now. So
it is, and I think it's also pretty cool now too. Like for somebody who's somewhat in the radio business, I'm really not, but like kind of the nephew, I guess, podcasting, internet, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah.
But like I see so many of my guests now from outside the region that are trying to knock on the door. Like they're trying to get into Texas instead of out of Texas. It never used to be that way, man. Like you said, like Pat Green and all of these guys, they're trying to get noticed in Nashville back in the day. We don't need Nashville anymore. Like we're completely self-sufficient here now. And
absolutely.
And now people, I see so many people that are trying to take up residence in Texas just so that they can play their music on the radio here now.
Yeah, that happens quite a bit. In fact, I'm not kidding you. I probably get 10 or 15 new names in every single week in email, and I've never heard of them. And I'll give them a shot if the music is good and it's country. I'll give them a shot. But the thing is like there are so many of them that are blending in, though. I mean, got a guy like David Adam Burns. Man, that boy's country as all get out. Mm-hmm. He's from Arkansas.
Yep.
Hey, we'll take him down here if he's playing country music, man. Hell yeah, we'll take you. But a lot of these people that are, they can't make their way in Nashville, on the independent scene in Nashville, so they think, oh, we'll just go down to Texas down there. They'll take us in. No, well, a lot of them will. I won't.
It's a little harder, though. Yeah, it's a little harder than that.
Yeah. You gotta have good music, man. If not, I mean, it can't be some hokey crap, you're trying to get played on radio. I was like, no, man, come on, that's elementary. Hell, I could have wrote that.
So how do you feel about kind of the blending of genres in Texas now? Because that's happening quite a bit within our scene now as well. You've got some pop elements coming in to the Red Dirt and some southern rock, and it's not purely country anymore. Now we have that kind of same diversity in Texas. So as a radio guy, do you still pull that stuff in as well? The diversification?
Yes. I mean, you have to program a radio station, because I mean, you ain't programming a radio station for yourself.
Right.
And for what exactly all I like, I'm programming a radio station for hundreds of thousands of people. And you have to have that diversity in there, because if not, your station starts having a sameness sound. But you're right about a lot of the pop sound and stuff with a lot of these guys. If I hear a click track in the first 15 seconds of a song, it's gone. I don't give a damn who recorded it. I am not even kidding. I've thrown more, and I get promoters telling me, he's like, well, why won't you play this? I said, because it's got a click track in the front of it, and I ain't playing it. And it's that same, that you can hear it throughout. It's like that mechanical electronic sound to it, and I'm like, no, But you have to be picky with what you play. I mean, I love Cole Wetzel to death. There's only one song of his that I could even put in the system and play. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even guys like Parker McCollum, and I love him to death too. And most of his stuff, we play most of it, and in fact, all of it really. But there was one song that he put out here not long ago, and it didn't do worth a crap for him here in Texas, and he was trying to get noticed in Nashville, but and it did pretty well for him nationally, so that kind of got him some national attention. And that's the younger generation, I guess. The kids love hearing that stuff, Mm-hmm. Us old farts, man, you give me some steel guitars and fiddles, man, I'm in.
I'm right there with you, in some mandolin. I feel you. Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm there with you. So yeah, I love that, because again, there is a lot of diversification within the genre. You mentioned Coe and Parker and You know, there's on the other end of that, you've still got people like Robert Earl Keen and you know, the Great Divide, and all of the Brandon Ryder is another one that comes to mind, that are
Yeah.
still making amazing red dirt music that is devoid of a lot of those modern. I guess you could call them modern influences. I don't know.
Yeah, I call them the kids.
Yeah.
It's them kids, man.
Yep.
I'm that
So
grumpy old man that's standing out on the front lawn telling my kids get off my lawn, man. That's